All right, this video is breaking down the greatest quarterback in the history of every NFL franchise. Some of these are obvious, and some of these are definitely up for debate. I'm going to react and give context as we go because this list is going to spark arguments. Starting with Dallas, Roger Staubach, Captain America, Roger the Dodger. He has 4 Super Bowl appearances, 2 rings, and what people forget is how clutch he was before the command clutch became a buzzword. He was scrambling in late game comebacks. He had leadership, and this was the original Cowboy standard. Joe Montana at number 2. And yeah, this one's not debatable. 4 Super Bowls, 4 wins, 0 losses. Joe Cool didn't panic, didn't rush throws. He lived for pressure moments. And this is what every 49ers QB gets compared to. Terry Bradshaw for the Steelers, 4 Super Bowls in the 70s, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. People underrate him because of the defense, but you do not win all 4 without elite quarterback play. He helped turn Pittsburgh into the dynasty that it is. Some people think Brett Favre, but I got Aaron Rodgers over Brett Favre, and I get why. 4 MVPs, 1 Super Bowl, the efficiency, the arm angles, and the accuracy. Rodgers played quarterback like a surgeon. Pure talent-wise, one of the best ever. And for the New York Giants, Eli Manning. And yes, he beat Tom Brady twice, not once, twice on the biggest stage. 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. He had an Iron Man streak, clutch gene, and 0 fear. You can debate stats, but you can't debate results. And for the New England Patriots, Tom Brady, the GOAT. 7 Super Bowls, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 different franchises, countless comebacks, and at some point, it stopped being luck. It was dominant across all eras. For the Chiefs, you got Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes already being the greatest Chief at 29 is insane. Arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3 wins. He changed how quarterbacks play due to creativity, arm talent, and instincts. We're watching history in real time. For the Rams, Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner's story is unreal. Undrafted, grocery store bagger, went to the Arena League, then MVP, Super Bowl champ. Greatest show on turf doesn't happen without Kurt Warner. The Miami Dolphins, Dan Marino, the best quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. Dan Marino was throwing for 500 yards before defense was ready. He had the quickest release of all time, no fear. He was far ahead of his era. For the Falcons, Matt Ryan. People want to say Vic, but I think Matt Ryan was the most productive Falcon ever. He had an MVP season, Super Bowl appearance, and people can't forget how consistent he was for over a decade. For the Baltimore Ravens, you can throw in Joe Flacco, but in my opinion, it's Lamar Jackson. 2 MVPs, changed the entire Ravens offense. Most rushing yards by a QB in NFL history. He's still writing his story. And for the Buffalo Bills, you can argue Josh Allen, but it's Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly led Buffalo to 4 straight Super Bowls. Yeah, they lost, but getting there 4 times matters. That K-gun offense was ahead of his era. For the Philadelphia Eagles, kind of like Tom Brady, you can kind of throw in Michael Vick here too, but it's Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb took so much criticism, but the results was there. 8 playoff trips, a Super Bowl appearance, and he carries those Eagles teams. For the Chicago Bears, it's Sid Luckman. Sid Luckman, 4-time champion in the 40s. In the 40s, I'm saying. He held the Bears' passing touchdown records for over 70 years. He's a forgotten legend. For the Carolina Panthers, it has to be Cam Newton. Cam Newton at his peak was unstoppable. An MVP season, a Super Bowl appearance. He had power, speed, and arm. The ultimate modern dual-threat quarterback. For the Denver Broncos, you could kind of throw in Peyton Manning, but it's John Elway. John Elway dragged his team to Super Bowls and then finished his career with back-to-back rings. And he has one of the strongest arms ever. For the Cincinnati Bengals, you can throw in modern Joe Burrow, but it's Ken Anderson. He had an MVP, a Super Bowl appearance, and one of the most efficient passers of his era. And for the Cleveland Browns, it has to go to Otto Graham. Otto Graham with the 10 championship games and won 7. That is pure dominance. For the Detroit Lions, it has to go to Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford was one of the most talented passers that Detroit ever had. Held every franchise passing record and finally got his ring once he had help. Too bad it wasn't with Megatron. For the New York Jets, you got Joe Namath, a guaranteed Super Bowl, and he delivered. First ever 4,000-yard passer, Broadway Joe, changed the league and changed how quarterbacks played. For the Houston Texans, you can throw in Deshaun Watson, but it was Matt Schaub. Matt Schaub made Texas football irrelevant with Andre Johnson. He had first playoff wins and the franchise passing leader. For the Indianapolis Colts, you have to go with Peyton Manning. 4 MVPs with the Colts, went into a Super Bowl, and changed how quarterbacks read defenses. Peyton Manning was a pure football genius. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, you got Mark Brunell, the original Jaguars leader. Playoffs every year early on, and still has the franchise record, and still is the franchise standard. And for the Las Vegas Raiders, you got the Snake, Ken Stabler. He was clutch, cool, and creative, and took the Raiders to their first Super Bowl. And for the Arizona Cardinals, you got Jim Hart. 18 years, he has every passing record for the franchise and underrated longevity. He played over 18 years in the NFL when it was really physical. For the Los Angeles Chargers, you have to throw in Phillip Rivers. Never missed a start, 224 straight games. That is tough as they come. Too bad Phillip Rivers couldn't make it to that big stage and win the Super Bowl ring. And for the Minnesota Vikings, you got Frank Territon, a dual threat before it was normal. He had 2 Super Bowl trips with underrated offense. He's considered the Vikings GOAT. And for the New Orleans Saints, it's hands down Drew Brees, the accuracy king. He took the Saints to their first Super Bowl and one of the most precise QBs ever. In my eyes, one of the greatest QBs of all time. And for the Seattle Seahawks, you got my guy, Russell Wilson. He won the job as a rookie. He went to the Super Bowl twice. He's a Super Bowl champ, and Prime Russ was elite. He had outstanding talent, outstanding arm, and crazy feet. The GOAT. 7 Super Bowls, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 different franchises, countless comebacks, and at some point it stopped being luck. It was dominant across all eras. And for the Tennessee Titans, you got Warren Moon. He didn't get an NFL shot till he was 28 years old. Still shattered records. And one of the most talented passers to ever grace the league. And for the Washington Commanders, you got Joe Theismann, a Super Bowl champion, a franchise leader, until a bad injury ended it. Tough era, and he was a tough quarterback. Out of all these QBs, the greatest QB of all time, in my eyes, got to go down to Tom Brady. He's the most decorated and the most accomplished quarterback on this list. You let me know down in the comments what you think. You let me know down in the comments, is this list valid or did I miss a couple players? Let me know in the comments below what you think about this list.